Hello everyone, my name is Lily Walters and I'm going to be discussing the emerging importance of microRNA in healthcare. What if we could detect disease early? Not by waiting for symptoms to emerge, but by recognizing a molecular pattern happening inside of our cells. This molecular pattern is created by tiny genetic molecules called microRNAs. Most people know about DNA. It can be thought of as the master recipe book for our bodies. But what's less known is that DNA doesn't act alone. It sends out messages, acting like a delivery truck full of mail to tell our cells what to do. And microRNAs, or miRNAs, help regulate those messages, like a mailman delivering the DNA mail at the correct place and time. MicroRNAs don't change the information in our DNA, but they control how and when our genes are used, kind of like tiny switches that fine-tune cell behavior. The big idea is that different diseases can change the pattern of these switches, or the pattern of these switches can change the characteristics of these diseases. Those characteristics are what we call a disease phenotype. This is how a disease physically shows up in the body. By looking at microRNA patterns, we can start to recognize and even predict how these disease phenotypes may show up. MicroRNAs are tiny molecules that can influence hundreds of genes at once. That makes them very powerful. In a healthy person, certain microRNAs keep cells balanced. They make sure these cells grow, repair, and die at the right time. But in disease, these microRNA patterns change, and those changes shape how the disease behaves. For example, in cancer, some microRNAs become overactive and suppress tumor-fighting genes, letting cancer grow faster. In heart disease, specific microRNAs shift to promote inflammation and scarring in heart tissue. In asthma, expression of specific microRNAs is correlated to different physical traits, such as inflammation of the lungs or frequency of emergency room visits. In osteoarthritis, microRNAs may cause a decrease in gene expression that produces the necessary proteins to maintain healthy joints. Even in conditions like depression or Alzheimer's, different patterns of microRNA are linked to how the disease progresses or affects brain function. For these reasons, scientists are finding that most diseases have a kind of microRNA signature, a molecular pattern that reflects the severity, type, or even stage of a condition. Here's where things get really exciting. Because microRNA expression patterns correlate with specific disease phenotypes, we can use them in different preventative ways. One way we can use them is to diagnose diseases earlier, sometimes before symptoms even appear. Another is to predict how aggressive a disease might be. An example of this application is understanding which cancers are more likely to spread and cause more biological harm. Finally, we can use microRNAs to monitor disease progression and see how well someone is responding to treatment. An even more promising application is the possibility of microRNA-based treatments. I know this figure might be intimidating, but do not worry about the details of it. Just understand that there are many methods possible for using microRNAs as treatment options. If we know that a certain microRNA is contributing to disease behavior, we might be able to block it or boost it depending on the effects it has on the specific disease. By doing this, we can make the disease phenotype milder or even reverse it entirely. There are already clinical trials testing microRNA therapies for fibrosis, osteoarthritis, and even cancer. Of course, microRNA research is still evolving. Delivering them safely in the body and understanding all their effects takes time, but their potential in the healthcare world is incredible. By studying how microRNAs behave, we're uncovering a new layer of biology that explains not just what the diseases do, but why they do what they do, when they do. With that knowledge, we may be able to transform how we treat disease. While we used to rely solely on symptoms, we can now rely on these molecular fingerprints that are unique to each patient, providing a more personalized approach to treatment and detection. So, while microRNAs may be tiny, the clues they give us could help rewrite the future of medicine by helping us understand diseases more deeply and treat them more precisely than ever before. If this has piqued your interest, I encourage you to watch these videos and read these articles to learn more. I have just provided a brief introduction into the vast world of microRNA science, and there is always so much more to the scientific story. Thank you.